What's going on, everybody? It's me, Eman from Eman's Movie Reviews, and today we're going to review Spider-Man Homecoming.
Hey everyone.
Let's go over a quick intro. After the events of Captain America Civil War, Spider-Man tries to balance his high school life and trying to be the best superhero that he can be. Let's dive right into the good. Within the first 15 minutes of this movie, we get a ton of reminders that this Sony-Marvel partnership is the real deal. There are a lot of intentional moments throughout the movie that let you know that Spider-Man and the Avengers are connected in more ways than one. For all you comic book movie buffs out there are a lot of references made to the previous Avengers movies and to Captain America Civil War. Since this was a Marvel production per the deal with Sony, there are a number of funny moments in the movie that keeps it lighthearted and entertaining. Jacob Batalon, who plays Ned, has a lot of humorous scenes in the movie as he plays Peter Parker's best friend. Jon Favreau and Zendaya also have a few funny offshoot scenes as well. And for the very few scenes that he was in, Hannibal Buress was pretty comical too. Now, while the internet certainly made this a big deal, I'm actually pretty happy with how this movie treated Marissa Tomei's version of Aunt May. The movie didn't oversell her character as the hot cougar that everyone thought she was gonna be. Once you see her caring and nurturing side with Peter Parker, a lot of those previously held ideas just kind of go right out the window. Unlike the previous Spider-Man movies, I thought this one did a really good job in setting up some potential side characters that we're probably going to see in future movies. None of it felt rushed, and even if the characters were minor ones, they still felt as though they had an organic origin to them. Speaking of which, there are a lot of Easter eggs throughout this movie. Even if you're just a casual Spider-Man fan of the cartoons or the comics, you'll probably pick up on around 85% of the hints that are dropped throughout this movie. For instance, certain characters might give a little hint about certain other characters and their existence, and so on. As for Spider-Man himself, Tom Holland did a really good job at portraying the wall crawler. If there were any concerns about Peter Parker being too young, well, those should probably just be put to rest right now. His youth served a really good purpose in showing us his inexperience at being a superhero. That leaves room for us, the audience, to grow with this character as he matures into a better superhero. The film does a really good job of putting Spider-Man in very challenging situations where not only do we get to see how inexperienced he is, but we also see him grow and mature over time too. For example, I was really happy to see him in certain situations where he couldn't use his web shooters. I also appreciated the fact that they showcased his intellect as a science whiz too. By the way, contrary to the trailers, I'm happy to report that Iron Man is not gonna overtake this movie. He's probably only in this movie for about 10 to 15% of the time. This is totally a Peter Parker Spider-Man story. As for the villain, Michael Keaton was at his best in my opinion. I don't even think that he suffers from the classic MCU villain problem either. Now, while they didn't take the traditional comic route for the origins of Vulture in this movie, they did take a much more practical and down-to-earth approach to his character. I also thought that he posed an excellent challenge to Spider-Man, which basically helps push Spider-Man to his limits and become a better superhero. And if you really think about it, that's all you can ask for from any good villain. Alright, let's move on to the bad. Now, I'm gonna kick it off with this because I need to get this off my chest. I am not a fan of how they treated Spider-Man's powers in this movie. More specifically, I'm talking about his non-existent Spidey sense. Spider-Man's Spidey sense is one of his most unique and special abilities that separates him from all other superheroes. By diluting that power or taking it away, it's almost equivalent to depowering Superman's strength or having Superman jump instead of fly. Unfortunately, in this film, they made Spider-Man just have really good reflexes rather than having the precognitive Spidey sense that we've always seen him have in countless movies, comics, and cartoons. Another issue is that while many of the scenes from the supporting characters were actually funny, I think we could have done without a couple of them. The movie's runtime is about 2 hours and 15 minutes, and it really felt like some of those additional funny scenes were just added fluff. For instance, some of the scenes with Ned or with Happy probably would have been better served to be extra scenes on a Blu-ray DVD, because if you remove some of those scenes from the actual movie, it doesn't hurt the movie at all. Moving on to another issue, given the fact that they are moving this into more of like a teen movie, I thought it was kind of strange that they would make references to 80s teen movies. For example, there's a direct reference from Ferris Bueller's Day Off in the movie. Now I bring this up because this movie really feels as though it's targeted for people that are 13 to maybe 25. Now to be clear, it's not that I think that those 80s references are bad necessarily, I just don't think that they're gonna resonate with people if the target audience is really 13 to 25. Anyway, my last issue is just how careless this movie was with Spider-Man's identity. Now, while the writing in the story does make sense in terms of how they handled it, I just don't think it was necessary to have certain individuals find out who he really was. Now, the reveal of the secret identity does help to add a level of intensity in the film, but I just think that we could have had the same effect without having to reveal Spider-Man's identity in certain situations. Okay, I've said too much already, trying to keep it spoiler free. Let's move on to the reason.
The reason.
Spider-Man Homecoming has certainly breathed new life into the Spider-Man movie franchise. Now, where does it compare with the other Spider-Man movies, you might ask? Well, I'd say that this is probably the second best Spider-Man movie to date. That's right, Spider-Man 2 still ends up being the best Spider-Man movie that we have. I left the theater really liking Spider-Man Homecoming, but I wasn't necessarily wowed by it either. If you're familiar with the cartoon, this is more of like the Disney XD version of Spider-Man. This movie was really fun and it was very entertaining, but I just think that it has room for improvement. So when it comes to the rating for Spider-Man Homecoming, I've got to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Now the film is probably going to be offered to you in different enhanced formats like 3D or Dolby Atmos. I got to see it in Dolby Atmos, and while the sound technology is amazing, I just don't think Spider-Man Homecoming is worth seeing in that format. Nor do I think it's worth seeing in 3D either. Now obviously you can choose to watch the movie in whatever format you want, but there just didn't seem to be anything memorable that made me really want to see this in 3D or in Dolby Atmos. So you could probably save a little bit of money there. Either way, Spider-Man Homecoming is definitely worth the watch in theaters. Be sure to stay until the very end because there are 2 end credit scenes. Well, that's all I got. Thank you for joining me. I always appreciate you guys watching. Are you excited to see Spider-Man Homecoming? If you have seen it, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below, and let's try and avoid spoilers too. If you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe or like the fan page. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video if you did enjoy it. You can always stay connected with me on any one of my social media platforms. I've got more videos and reviews coming up for you guys, and until next time, I'll see you later.